Good evening, and welcome to today's urgent update. We have some shocking and frankly disturbing news coming out of the Department for Work and Pensions. If you or a loved one were born before 1959, your pension could be at risk, and the changes have already started to take effect. We're talking about potential cuts, altered entitlements, and a silent reshuffle that many pensioners didn't even see coming. Could your income be slashed? Are your years of contribution being quietly overlooked? Stick with us as we break down exactly what's happening, who's affected, and what you can do about it. This isn't just another bureaucratic update. This is your money, your future, and for many, your survival. In recent weeks, discussions have been circulating behind the scenes about how the UK government is handling pensions for those born before 1959. While the headlines have been dominated by cost of living support and benefit reforms, one very specific demographic has started to notice something unusual. Their expected state pension amounts are either stagnant, reduced, or missing key increases promised in recent years. This wasn't announced in Parliament with fanfare. There was no breaking news ticker, no official DWP press conference saying, "Warning. If you're born before 1959, brace yourself." Instead, changes have been baked into the system quietly, through updates in pension payment structures, recalculations, and policy documents buried in lengthy online files. For many older pensioners, particularly women and part-time workers, the result is a bitter surprise. You worked hard for decades, trusted the government's promises, and now you're being told the system's changed, and not in your favor. At the core of this pension shock lies the so-called transition pensioners, those who reach state pension age just before or shortly after the introduction of the new state pension in April 2016. If you were born before April 6, 1951 for women or April 6, 1953 for men, you're still on the basic state pension, a different system from the new flat-rate state pension introduced in 2016. The problem? The government's attention and increases have largely favored those on the new system. That means many people born before 1959 have now found themselves trapped in a system with limited top-ups, less flexibility, and stricter eligibility requirements for key increases. And with inflation eating away at the value of fixed incomes, even a small disparity becomes a huge deal. A difference of just £15 a week might not seem much to a policymaker in Westminster, but to someone choosing between heating and eating, it's devastating. Let's dig into the mechanics. These pension cuts don't always appear as a bold red line across your payment notice. Instead, they're embedded in a mix of frozen entitlements, reduced upratings, or loss credits. Frozen additional pension entitlements. For those on the older system, earnings-related pensions like SERPs and the state second pension S2P are key. But recent adjustments mean that many additional elements tied to those earnings haven't increased in line with inflation. In some cases, they're not increasing at all. Ineligibility for the full triple lock benefit. The much celebrated triple lock, which ensures pensions rise each year by the highest of inflation, wage growth, or 2.5%, is now being applied unevenly. For many pre-1959 pensioners, not all parts of your pension benefit from it. That results in real terms losses over time. Lost credits and incomplete records. National insurance contributions are key to pension amounts. But for many older individuals, especially women who took time out to raise children, gaps in their record mean they miss out on the full amount. The government's previous top-up schemes have now closed or become harder to access. In short, it's a death by 1,000 cuts. Nothing is announced as a cut, yet pensioners are receiving less than they would have expected just a few years ago. Take Margaret, aged 75, from Hull. She worked in the NHS as a part-time nurse for 30 years. She always believed her pension would carry her through retirement. But recently, she noticed her payments barely moved this April, while others reported boosts of £900 or more annually. "I don't understand how they decide these things," she says. "I did everything right, paid my dues. But now I'm getting less than my neighbor, and she's only a couple of years younger." Then there's George, 78, from Birmingham. After serving in the army and then as a postman, he expected stability. They said it was guaranteed. That was the word they used. But every year, I see it slipping. Margaret and George are just two voices in a growing crowd. Pensioners are confused, frustrated, and increasingly angry. The truth is, 1959 is not a legislated cutoff, but a de facto boundary that reflects the shifting policies introduced from 2010 to 2016. People born after that year tend to fall into the new pension regime or had time to adjust their contributions and expectations. They also benefit from broader top-up schemes like auto-enrollment pensions and catch-up credits. Those born before 1959 were often too late to adjust and too early to benefit. They were caught mid-transition, the bridge generation. They get fewer credits, less generous indexing, and more rigid conditions. It's a classic example of being squeezed from both sides. Officially, very little. Inquiries sent by journalists and advocacy groups have been met with generic replies. The government remains committed to supporting pensioners, or we continue to uphold the triple lock. But these statements don't answer the real question. Why are older pensioners receiving less? Charities like Age UK and Independent Age have started calling for a full review of pre-2016 pensioners and how current policies disproportionately disadvantage them. They've warned that without action, tens of thousands will fall into poverty, not due to personal fault, but policy neglect. And make no mistake, this isn't just about money. It's about dignity. The situation is even more severe for the WASPy generation, women against state pension inequality, many of whom were also born before 1959. These women were affected by sudden changes to the state pension age, pushing their retirement back by several years with very little warning. Many had no time to financially prepare. Now, to add insult to injury, they're also getting less from the pension they waited longer to receive. It's a double blow. And many campaigners argue that the recent pension payment discrepancies are a direct result of the DWP's failure to properly support this group after its 2010 reforms. Use the government's online pension forecast tool. It'll show you how much state pension you should be getting and whether you're missing years. Request a national insurance record check. Many pensioners are shocked to find their NI records have gaps, some due to errors, others due to missed credits. It's worth requesting a full breakdown and challenging anything that looks off. Apply for pension credit. If your income is below a certain threshold, you might be eligible for pension credit, which not only boosts your weekly income, but opens doors to other benefits like council tax reductions and free TV licenses. Contact your MP. Make noise. Politicians are more likely to act if their constituents make it an issue. Share your story, ask questions, and demand clarity. Join advocacy groups. Organizations like WASPy and Age UK need voices. Joining gives strength in numbers and access to legal resources and petitions. This isn't just a policy issue. This is a justice issue. The people affected, our parents, grandparents, the post-war generation, were promised a stable retirement. They paid into the system when times were hard, helped rebuild this country, and now they're being handed a short straw. If we don't stand up now, what happens when the next wave of pensioners hits retirement? Will their pensions be cut too, quietly, with no explanation? The message we send today shapes the safety net for tomorrow. Presenter. This is not fear-mongering, this is fact. Pensioners born before 1959 are facing real cuts to their income, and the government's silence only deepens the frustration. Whether it's a policy oversight or a calculated shift, one thing is clear. The people affected deserve answers, transparency, and above all, fairness. So, what can you do now? Share this video. Let others know what's happening. Comment below if you or someone you know has been impacted. And make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to keep tracking every change, every update, and every fight for fairness in the pension system. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay aware, and as always, we'll be back with more updates soon.